When it comes to imitating birds, hoo, hoo. As you can tell, I need a little help. But in this segment, we meet a woman who is an absolute natural.
Nicole Peretta is a very sweet, unassuming young lady who likes to blend into the crowd. But be careful, invite her on a birding trip and she may just play with your mind. You see, Nicole is a modern-day Dr. Dolittle. She talks to the birds.
Last I checked up my list, I think I'm up to 146.
That's 146 different calls from 121 species of birds. Definitely something to crow about. While on an outing at the Verde Valley Birding and Nature Festival, she secretly lets out the call of one of her favorites, the laughing kookaburra. Or the kagoo from New Caledonia. With confusion spreading across their faces, fellow birders question each other and frantically glass the trees. Nicole simply smiles to herself, proud of the skills she has developed over her lifetime.
Well, I started as a young child. I was about 6 years old when I did my first bird call. Then I started getting into bird watching when I was 9. So I started a life list of birds when I was 9. Then it just, you listen to the birds and you hear them make a noise, and for some reason I was able to imitate them. And my very first experience with birds actually responding to my calls was probably when I was about 11. I learned how to do the common raven, and this is what the raven sounds like for those who like a little reminder. So those are some different sounds that the raven makes. And so I learned that call when I was 11. It took me about a year to learn that call, to get my voice to actually do that. And I was walking home from school one day, and I did that call because I saw a raven across the street, and they answered back. So I kept doing it, but you know how children are. They have to be home at a certain time, so I couldn't just stand there in front of the school and talk to the raven. So I kept on walking. Well, lo and behold, I walked away, and the ravens sounded closer, and I turned around and the ravens were right behind me in a tree. And then I walked more and continued doing the raven call, and they were following me, and they followed me all the way home. So when I got in the door, there were 2 ravens circling over my house. So what better encouragement can you get as a child and say, hey, if I learn these bird calls, they come to me. And that's exactly what some of them do.
And that's the whole idea behind Talking Birdie. Get the birds to come to you, or at least stay a little longer so you can get a better look at them before they go about their business.
Now, when a bird is flying away, like it's just up in the air and it's flying away, that's a good time to call them because you want them to come back. So sometimes I'll see a hawk in the air. So I'll see him flying, and let's say it's a immature, or it's a red-tailed hawk. I'll do an immature red-tailed call, and it's like this. And sometimes that bird will turn right back around because it's like, yeah, who knows where it was heading off to, but it hears this other bird and it goes, okay. And usually they just come around, they change their angle of their soar and they come a little closer. I've done that on many occasions. I was with the intern, and there was an osprey flying way far away. So I did the osprey call. Like that, and he came right over. So he was all the way across the bay, but he heard me doing that, and I did it like several times, several repetitions, and he flew directly over us. And then I stopped once he was over our heads. I didn't want to get him upset, and then he got a good view, and then he flew off.
One thing that makes Nicole special is she mostly uses her voice, her vocal cords, rather than whistling. In fact, only 20 of her 146 calls are whistles. When most people want to imitate a bird, they purse their lips and blow air to whistle, whereas Nicole gathers her body almost like a singer would to prepare her air column and throat for the specific noises she's about to make with her vocal cords. Nicole has learned to vary the different vocalizations a bird will make to her advantage. You can't learn to imitate birds without paying close attention to their behavior. One thing Nicole has observed is that the same bird will make different calls at different times of the year and for different reasons. She uses this knowledge to make the appropriate call, not only for that specific bird, but for the season or situation.
The most common is a contact call, where maybe birds have been separated, and it's just the call that they do to keep in touch. So like our Gambel's quail, they have a contact call, and it goes similar to this. So sometimes you'll hear that, and it might be a lone bird trying to reconnect with the flock, so they'll do that. Now, there's also calls for territory. That's probably the most common thing. Every time you hear a bird singing, it's usually because they're trying to either attract a mate or to tell other males that this is my territory. So that's usually what a song is all about. And the Gambel's quail has a territorial call that sounds like this. Like that. And they're just saying, hey, this is my spot. And they don't want anyone else coming around.
Nicole offers some ethics she follows and would like other bird callers to adopt.
What birders need to know is when they're out there calling birds is to make sure the birds aren't nesting. If they see a bird actually coming out of a nest hole, or if they see them sitting on eggs, it's not a good time to call. I know if I see a bird just sitting there and he's close enough, I usually don't talk to it. I usually don't, because he's already out in the open. I really don't need him to come any closer. He's preening, he's having a good time. I don't want to disturb his day, because when you do a bird call, they think it's another bird in the territory, and you're taking a situation where a bird might be very calm and happy and making him maybe a little upset. There's nothing wrong with bird calling. You just need to know the right times to do it.
Nicole also teaches others how to master talking birdie. While she says calling birds is a skill anyone can learn, it helps to start young.
I think because I started this as a child, I've trained my voice how to do these calls. If you listen to children, they are capable of doing all the sounds that I do. A screaming toddler in the grocery store, we've all heard it. That's the basis of some of my hawk calls. I'm amazed at, when I even watch my own children, what they're capable of vocally. My 2-year-old can do some bird calls. He sees a crow and he goes, ah, 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 like that. And he can do a mourning dove. The mourning dove sounds like this. And my 2-year-old goes,